Greetings and welcome to another Unity tutorial. In this one we're going to take a look at how to publish your Unity project to a web player and get it uploaded to your student web page. And now this one's going to be pretty heavily focused towards Johnson County Community College students, so if you're not in that classification, you're probably better off finding a different video for this. Alright, disclaimer's done. Let's get going. So once you're finished with your project and you're ready to upload it to your student web page, the first thing to do, of course, is to get your student web page configured. If you go to the JCCC webs page and do a search for a student web page setup, you'll be able to find those instructions pretty easily. Assuming that has indeed been set up, we need to publish our Unity project out to a web player. To do this, we go to File and Build Settings. Now, by default, you are going to be on a PC, Mac, and Linux project, and you will have no scenes in your build. You need to have at least one scene in your build. To do this, you can add current if the current scene you have open is the scene that you want to add in, or you can drag your scenes from the project hierarchy view into your build scenes list here. If you add in something you did not intend, you can, of course, press the delete key to delete it out. Notice this will only delete it out of the build settings. It won't actually delete your scene. Next, of course, is we need to switch to the web player. You must click on Switch Platform in order for this to actually switch over. If you can tell you did it correctly by seeing that the Unity symbol moved over to the web player. Now, we can accept just straight up defaults for the island projects. About the only setting you might actually want to change is the default resolution. So to do that, we can go to Player Settings and go to the Resolution tab. It may or may not be open depending on what's been used on your machine before, but you go to Resolution and Presentation, and you have your default screen width and height, which will not be 800 by 600, by the way. It will be smaller than that. I've already been in here messing around a little bit. So I've got this set to 800 by 600, and that's really the only settings you should be messing with. Once you have everything set up, you're going to want to click on Build. A build and run will do the actions of build, but it'll also automatically open up a web browser and start playing your project from the local drive. We don't really need to do that, so we're just going to do build. You need to specify an empty folder, or not an empty folder, you just need to specify a folder that you are going to build your project to. My preference is to take the overall project folder, create a new folder in here, and call it Web Build. And I will select that folder, and it will build. Given that this is a fairly small project, it should build fairly quick. And there we go. Hop in here, and I can see that I've got two files. I have a webbuild.html and I have a webbuild.unity3d file. Now, normally we'd be done on the local side, but the JCCC servers are special and they don't like this Unity 3D extension. We're going to have to trick the servers so that way it knows what to do with this file. So I am going to rename this file, F2, right click, however you want to get into the rename mode. I'm going to rename it to a ping. And it's going to warn you about changing file extensions. Yes, we want to do that. Of course, this will fail miserably if I try to open it as a ping file. After you change the file type, don't try to open it. It's not going to work. The second thing that we need to do is we need to change our HTML file because this HTML file is looking for a webbuild.unity3d file. We need to tell it where this new file is. So I'm going to open this up in Notepad++. You can use your editor of choice. And the thing that we need to look for is a webbuild.unity3d file. And it's on this line right here. It will always be, or it should always be, on line 59. This jQuery Unity Player webbuild.unity3d. That's not what we have anymore. We now have webbuild.ping. Make that change, save the file, and you're done. Now that we have our two files, we need to upload both of these files to our student page. For this, we will need FileZilla. I have already connected. Again, there are instructions on the Student Help Desk page on how to connect with FTP. And of course, the school computers already have FileZilla installed on them and configured correctly to connect. Do remember that you had to set up a unique password for this service. So there's no guarantee that this password is the same as your MyJCCC password unless you set them the same. But this is, strictly speaking, a separate password. After you log in, you need to make sure you go into your public_HTML file. Anything out here is still available to you as part of your student drive, but it won't be considered part of your web page. For it to be part of your web page, you need public_HTML. If you do not see public_HTML, that means you did not fully set up your account and you need to go back and go through the instructions. Remember, you need to activate both your student drive and activate your web page. Going into public.html, and it's going to prompt me for my password again, so hold up for that. And as you can see, I've already been messing around with here, so I've got an index and a web player already. I'm going to go ahead and clear those guys out. Yes, I really want to delete those. So if you've just created it, this is what you're going to see. Nothing. So what you need to do is on this side, you need to find where your project is that you just built. And so I need to refresh this, so I'm going to say refresh. And that was a right click, by the way. And oh, there's my web build folder. I'm going to there, and hey, there's my webbuild.html and my webbuild.png. I'm going to grab those two files, drag them over. Probably my password again. For each file, annoyingly enough. And there we go. It is now on my web page. So now let's see how this works for getting access to it. I am going to go to students.jccc.edu / and my username. And and I've got too many C's in there. And if you do it right, and you don't have an index.html file, you should see a parent directory list. I can click on my webbuild.html file. You should see a progress bar increasing, loading up the project, and after a moment, it should start. And of course, there we go. And of course, when you are ready to turn in your assignment, you will want to turn in this URL right here, so that way I can just go straight to the URL and see your project. And that is how you get your Unity Island onto your web page.